we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We're going to get deep into UFOs tonight with MUFON's Earl Grey Anderson. And Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon. And we're glad all of you are here tonight as well. Let's say hello to our chat room. We got Laura Lobbs in the gold medal position, Race Fan with the silver, and B with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hi, Dino Bravo and Simon the Likeable, Robert Lamoth, Jimmy Gonzalez, Brown Dwarf and Luscious Jewels. Good to see you both. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Chris 716, Lightwalker, Sapphire Elf. Thank you for joining us. Jennifer Patterson, good to see you. D. Cohen, Deer Slayer, Kevin, and Lee Labresh. How are you? Lee Labresh will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Free Your Mind, Gentry Anderson, Corey, and Kurt M. Good to see you all. Lost Souls, Lee the B, and Flat 6. Thank you for coming on in. See how we are living. T-Bone, Mary R., Roger Murray. Nice to have you all here. Purple-haired Pixie Lara. Nice to see you. Hi, Susan Alloway. Susan Alloway will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. She doesn't like eye contact. So if you make eye contact, you're literally going to get booted out of the line. So just so you know. Tim Mothman and his goatee, two separate entities. Good to see you both. As we continue on with roll call, Glenn John McEnroe, the Pride of Wimbledon. Nice to see you. D. Sypha, JBD, A. Ron Baca. Thank you for coming on in. Richard Elmore and Millennium, my man. Good to see you. Hey, you're early, Jeremy Jones. What's with that? Good to see you, man. Richard Elmore, thank you for coming on in. Asteroid and Nina Williams, thank you for joining us. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. And Joanne, Marty Burback, Scott B., thank you for coming on in. Let's continue on here with roll call as we have Digger Dog, Pam Harris, Maureen Green, thank you for joining us. The Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, good to see you. As we are roll calling our way down the list tonight. And Welsh Hammer, thank you for coming on in. We are caught up for right now. I'm sure there's going to be more coming on in very, very soon. Want to remind you, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hello, Mike Rivers and The Messenger. Also, remember you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Put up a couple new items today. We do not have ugly swag, people. We have clothes that you're actually going to want to wear. Nothing ugly. That's a big point because there's a lot of ugly shit out there, especially from the UFO, cryptid, and paranormal world. Not ours. You're going to want to wear it out. Concerts, restaurants, everywhere. So go shopping at spacedoutradio.com. And on that note, let's get the radio side started, shall we? As we say hello to everyone listening in on the terrestrial radio and podcast side. Earl Grey Anderson, MUFON, 9 years. He's our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. As we say hello to Bill WD-40, the beautiful one, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want to be rigid or anything. Just make it smooth. And that's what Bill WD-40 does. Jennifer Patterson, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support, Jennifer. So we're just going to write your name down here. And who else has joined us here? We have Rich Buddy. Good to see you. Abnormal Investigations. Thanks for coming on in as we are getting ready. Pretty soon Human Carl will end up in the Spreaker chat as well. Oh, man, I am pumped up for tonight's show. Pumped right up. We're going to have a good one here. Nope, not wearing a hat tonight. Earl Grey has fantastic hair. I have to compete with that. So we're going to be doing that tonight. We got 20 seconds before we launch. Everybody comfy? Everybody cozy? Everybody ready for some UFO talk? Yeah, we can do that tonight. We're going to provide it hard and large for you. Because we can. Do me a favor, everybody. It is that time of the night to get your horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You can join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charity. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. All right, let's have some fun tonight. We're going to get into some serious UFOs. Earl Grey Anderson of MUFON, California, is with us. Yeah, these stories are going to blow your mind tonight. They really will. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton is here with another spooky story. Follow that up by Bigfoot Michigan Rob filling in for Robin Haynes on the Cryptid Report. Then it's Dave 101 night, and right after that, the weird news of the week. Earl Grey Anderson is the MUFON State Director for Southern California, Chief Field Investigator, member of the MUFON STAR Team, executive member of MUFON's ERT Experience Resource Team, and a man who has fantastic hair along with a goatee combination. In his work with MUFON, Earl has closed a plethora of high strangeness cases, one of which was presented in MUFON's Cases of the Year at the 2021 Symposium. Anderson feels that the experiencer phenomena is the beating heart of ufology. Boy, that goes against the grain, doesn't it? He explains, if we wish to understand this phenomena, we need to listen to those who have had face-to-face encounters. I couldn't agree more. I've been waiting a long time for this one. Earl Grey, it is great to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Very, very, very good, Dave. It's so good to see you.
I got to tell you, for people who do not know you or the field of ufology, you are literally ranked probably in the top 3 of the nicest ufologists out there that just has a love and passion for this entire subject. And it goes through with your words and your hard work and dedication. Congratulations on that, because, you know, there's a lot of charlatans in this field. There's a lot of egos in this field. And yet you're one of the guys out there who literally everybody loves, everybody talks highly about. I don't know how you do it, but it's worthy of applause.
Thank you so much. You know, I just I keep focused on what's important. You know, I mean, the phenomena is the most important thing, you know, in the world, in society, and for our future. And if you look at our past, it plays into that as well. And it's one of those things in life. We were talking a little before the show how, you know, the way I felt about it was that it's one of the three great questions in life. You know, what happens after I die? Is there a God? And are we all alone in the universe? I mean, it's just a paramount important uh, question and thing. And so there's no way that I could have done anything less than I've done as far as the way I've approached this field. It's out of passion and the big giant question marks that I have myself. And it's just the most important thing. Everything else falls, to the side when I look at this phenomenon and what it means and what it could mean. So, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't hear that very often, so I'll certainly, certainly take that compliment. Thank you.
No problem. And it is well deserved. And your hard work, dedication has done a lot for ufology. And the one thing that I love about you is as much as you have been following all the political jargon that all of us had, you've stayed true to your roots by this is about the experiencer. Without them, without the people who've seen things, reported things, been scared, been taken, we wouldn't have any angles to go on. We wouldn't know that this even exists. And it is so contrary to what today's ufology has become, especially over the last 70 years. How have you been able to stay on an even keel by staying true to the UFO roots than what we've seen in this major shift the last 6, 7 years?
I think that it comes down to just keeping it pure. I went into this and I knew that I was everything else was gonna fall to the side pretty much when I approached this the phenomena. When I started out by reading a lot of other people's books, watching some of the shows on TV, and everybody had a different opinion. And I realized, the only way I can really figure this thing out is to put my own hand to it. And it's just a passion within myself. I feel like I really want to understand as much as I can about the phenomenon while I'm here on Earth. We only have so many years given to us on this planet, so there's no time to waste as far as I was concerned. Also, I've had the best mentors in the world, people like Kathleen Martin, my original kind of nuts and bolts guy, Jeff Krause. He taught me, how to tell the difference between an IFO and a UFO. And he was very, very good about that. I had people like Peter Robbins counseling me, and just wonderful people that I just love and look up to. And, so hopefully I can reflect those guys.
Well, you're doing a hell of a job. You really
Thank
are.
you.
And you also had a major mentor in this field from a young age, which is your mother. Your
Yep.
mother was a high influence in you learning about this subject, where most of us are worried about baseball or hockey or
There we go.
football or basketball. Your mother was really, really an integral part of pushing you to look into the stars, to look into what
Sir.
is truly out there. For people who may not know your story, please explain why your mother plays such a profound role, even though she's no longer with us, God rest her soul. But explain that profound images that she's left in your head regarding UFOs.
Sure. Well, when I was 5 years old, uh, I went down, I went in for breakfast. We were living in Venice, California. Had kind of a cheery looking breakfast nook, this yellow kitchen. And I remember, thankfully, I have a really good memory. I remember a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't remember. One of my earliest memories is climbing up the monkey bars of the swing set that my dad built out of wood. He's a bit of a carpenter. And, I climbed up to the top and I was waving and singing at the sky. And I remember my mom was doing the dishes, and she opens the kitchen window, and she's, Earl, who are you waving and singing to? And it's like, the space people, Mom. I'm waving and singing to the space people. Uh, and I just seemed like I was born with this deep propensity for all things extraterrestrial, stuff that's not from this earth. And I think my mom knew that. I think that she knew there was something, some spark within myself. Probably came from her. But we all knew that she worked for Hughes Aircraft. She was one of Howard Hughes's personal secretaries. She worked at the aircraft office. He had a movie studio in Hollywood. He had other, he had other offices, but this was a place that had to do with his passion, which was aviation. And so that wasn't a secret. Everybody knew about it. My family all knew about it, still does. But there was another side to this. So anyway, for whatever reason, I was 5 years old. It was 2 years after I was waving at the sky, and I guess my mom would notice, I was always looking at books about outer space, always asking if we were, if there were other, if there were space people out there. That's what I called them when I was a kid. So I sat down at our kitchen table, and Mom started talking to me in a voice that she usually didn't use. She wasn't talking like an adult to a child. She just conversed. And she said, well, son, you know about my job with Howard Hughes and all that, but I had a really strange job. And she proceeded to tell me this story. She said, it kind of started out where they sent me out with a couple of security guys. And she didn't say whether she flew there. She didn't say where this place was, but she said that they took her out to the Great American Desert. Those were her very words, the Great American Desert. And she said that there was nothing there. She was wondering, what the heck? Why did they take her out to this desolate place? There was this concrete shack, a bunker, and they unlocked this thing. And the only thing that was in this bunker was an elevator. And it obviously didn't go up. There wasn't a top floor. It was just, just this low slung concrete shack. So they didn't really give her any information or preamble to this whole thing. She was completely unaware of why she was there, where she was going. She was just kind of following orders. She said that they got into the elevator and that she thought it would go down a couple of floors, and it kept going. And she started getting scared. She said that she felt butterflies in her stomach. She felt vertigo, but she used the word butterflies in her stomach. She said when the doors finally opened, a mile under the desert, and she told me that initially, she used those words. She said it finally stopped after we went down a mile, and the doors opened up, and there was this little bustling city down there. She said they'd get around in golf carts, that they had cafes down there. She mentioned one that had yellow umbrellas over the little tables, and she laughed. She made a joke out of it. She said, you don't need an umbrella in a cave, but they had umbrellas over the tables. And they had somebody that they had a barber shop there, but the guy could do my hair for me. He could perm my hair. And so apparently, my mom spent some time down there. You don't go to the barber shop under the desert floor to have your hair permed unless you're spending some major hours where you're at. And she talked about how there were German rocket scientists that she worked with. And then she said, we got around in these carts. They had laboratories, and they were working on very top secret stuff down there, son. And, she said, I know that you're interested in space and that you have this love for outer space. And I want you to know that we're not alone in the universe. We already know this. She said, we already know we're not alone. And she said that, but they're never going to tell people. They're never going to tell the public. And that was kind of, oh, and she mentioned UFOs too. She said, UFOs, you're going to hear about UFOs and flying saucers, and all that stuff is real, son. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. And like most 5-year-olds, it was my mom. It was what she was telling me. She was very serious about it. And I didn't question it. I went to school, went and lived my life. But every once in a while it would come up again. You know, she would see Werner von Braun on Wonderful World of Disney, and she'd say, "That's my friend Werner. He used to call me Betty Grace." That was her first and middle name. She said he was a very sweet man. Later on, I questioned her about that. I said, "You know, you said Werner was a sweet man. He was a Nazi, wasn't he?" And she said, "No, he wasn't really a Nazi. He just wanted to go to the moon. He wanted to create moon rockets." Anyhow, I think that my mom definitely, she thought that I forgot about it. I think that I know the only reason why she even mentioned this to me was because she figured I was 5, I was going to forget it. To her horror, 5 years after that, we'd moved to Thousand Oaks, California, and I was in the 4th grade, and we used to do a show and tell thing on Fridays. And well, I went in front of the class and I talked about my dad's landscaping business, and people were yawning, and you know, the kids were talking and kind of laughing and stuff. So then I just threw it out there. It's sort of, I mean, it's not like I thought about it before, but my mom, now, let me tell you about my mom. She had a really interesting job before I was born. And I told her story to my 4th grade class.
Oh my.
So anyway, I mean, the other kids kind of teased me about it, and they would put, like, you know, little Martian antennae behind my head. Like my favorite Martian was a popular comedy TV show at the time, and they'd do that and go, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, Earl and aliens," you know. But I guess the teacher got concerned. She got concerned with the teasing, and I think that she wondered why, you know, where that story came from and why I would even say such a thing. So she scheduled a parent-teacher conference with my mom, and my mom went in. And I remember, you know, I wasn't invited. I went and played in the playground and, you know, just goofed around. And about an hour or so later, my mom she comes back to get me, and she's very quiet. And I was old enough at that point to kind of think, uh-oh, you know, I hope I'm not in trouble. Did I do something wrong? What's going on? Well, we got into the car and she's driving me home, and she says, "So, son, I'm not angry at you. You didn't know that you were doing something wrong. But," and then she stops talking, and then she looks at me and she goes, "My God, how did you remember it? You were just a baby." You were just a baby. And she said, "Son, people don't know about cities under the desert, and they certainly don't know about space people and UFOs. Your mom signed papers and documents, and your mom could get into terrible trouble if you talk about this, because people don't know about that." And she starts trying to drive again, and then she said, "I could go to prison. You can't ever talk about it again." And she goes on and says, "Now, son, you weren't lying. You told her the truth. You told her what I told you. But I'm sorry, I had to tell her that you have a real good imagination, and I had to tell her that none of that's true, because, you know, people don't know about it, and I'm not supposed to talk about it. And the only reason why I told you is you were a little baby. I thought that you would you'd forget after I told you." So anyway, so that was sort of the flashpoint of my life that led up to who I am now. You know, here I am, you know, 55 years after that car ride. Yeah, I'm 65, boomer. And, you know, I kind of lived the rest of my life in a way, you know, it would come back, and I would think about it. It would bother me. I went through my usual rebellious teenage stuff that everybody goes through, and then I found God at one point when I was about 16 years old, and I was actually a youth pastor. Not you. Well, yeah, I was teaching Sunday school, and they called me youth pastor. I wasn't even 18 years old yet, I don't think. And but I took my mom to see this movie Star Wars, this new film that came out. And for some reason, it's like the stars aligned, and she started talking about it again, and very volubly, and very just. It was like she couldn't contain the information. It reminded me at the time of how she talked to me in the kitchen when I was 5 years old, and initially told me about this stuff. And what she said, son, you have no idea how close to the truth that movie is. The different beings, the different races of beings, the spacecraft and all that. She said, that's really real. She said, it's really like that out there. But they're never going to tell the public. And at that point, and I heard her say that before when I was little. And I said, well, what do you mean they're not going to tell the public? I mean, that's the most important thing in the world, isn't it? Why would they keep that away from people? And she said they're afraid of how people will react. And she brought up the H.G. Wells War of the Worlds radio broadcast that happened back I guess it happened in 1939 or something, where people were jumping out of windows and barricading themselves and their families with guns for, afraid that the Martians were going to take over. And that was the example she gave me. So, I just kind of lived my life. But that was always in the back of my mind. And I would try to get her to talk more about it. Sometimes she would, usually she wouldn't. Usually she would just get up, she'd shake her head. I'd get the raised eyebrow or an angry look, every now and then she would say, I can't talk about that. And she'd walk out, But my mom went back into aerospace back in the mid 1970s. She became a headhunter for various, more or less the military industrial complex. That's who my mom was working for. Apparently, she had kept all of her security clearances and all that stuff. She had a very high security clearance. I don't know if it was Q or which one it was, but she had her hands in a lot of different corporations. And I think that she was probably working on some of the stuff that we heard David Grush talking about, is my guess. What else? Why else would all these companies be using her to find their rocket scientists and stuff?
I mean, your imagination this many years later, as we got just over a minute to go here, it must blow your mind just thinking what your mom took to her grave.
Oh.
And that's a real patriot. Your mother's a real patriot for doing what she did and keeping the silence that she did. And, wonderful, wonderful, integrity in that, which is a real lost art today. But I mean, just that little bit, Earl, I mean, do you have any of those secrets coming out? 45 seconds. Give me an answer.
I know she was a patriot, and I tried to get her. She kept getting cancers, and I've heard that people that worked in military DUMBs, deep underground military bases, that was a problem for some reason. But I wanted her to sue the government and go public when she was dying of cancer. And she said, I would never sue my government, son. I would do it all over again. It was like joining the military, and I did it for my country, and I'd do it again. And I'd never sue my government. And that was all she wrote, really. That was kind of it.
I love it. Earl, when we come back from the break, we're going to find out why you feel the importance of experiencers and the reports that you get through MUFON and everything you do there, and maybe your top couple of cases that you got to work on in 2023 as we start to wrap the year down here and prepare for 2024. Earl Grey Anderson, MUFON SoCal. We're having a great show tonight. One of the great guys in ufology and one to follow when it comes to speaking and information. We continue with the UFO talk right here on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear. Looks like we have a blob alert. We have a blob alert. There's Blob. Hold on, let me get the message out of the way. There's Blob.
Oh, I've got Thor. My cat's Thor, but he's in the other room because if I close the door in here, he'll start trying to get out, and you'll hear him crying at the door. So he got some cat treats, and he's out there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, our audience, Blob has become a real superstar here with our audience. And, every now and again, she'll have to add her work or her little art to Dirty Filth's artwork. She'll start either lying on the art or walking all over it or what have you. And I think it adds to the mystique.
The famous artist Roger Dean, who did the album covers for Yes and other progressive rock bands mostly, he had one beautiful painting that he was working on, and the cat walked right across his watercolor, and he kept it in there, and it just became part of the painting, and it's actually beautiful. So there you go. Cat's doing art.
You got that right. And you just watch Blob. She's like watching like every stroke. Look at this. She's watching every stroke. Dirty Filth, you going to chime in here, or are you going to just continue painting for Blob?
I'm just doing a little doodle of just a little picture of Brandenburg. Hello, Gremlin.
Blob is being quite the harsh critic tonight. We're like every stroke you're making there, she's watching you.
She's probably gonna start fighting with the Gremlin here.
And look,
her tail's flicking around, and he keeps whacking at it.
Got that paint on there, and yeah, right there. We need a star there, Filth. Right there.
Happy little stars.
Yeah. So I guess we're working in space tonight, or at least nighttime.
It involves UFOs and military bases.
It does not.
It might. I think he's got it sideways, isn't he?
I mean, even snuck a couple aliens in there.
Oh, cool.
We'll have to wait.
Can't see them yet. Yeah, they'll magically appear. We've met before, Mr. Dirty Filth. I was on here once before, but we had the co-host. I think Dave was out of town or sick or something. So
it's getting to the point where people are like, "Oh, I was on here before." Yes, I remember that.
It was a few years ago. I think 3 or 4 years. I should correct something. You mentioned that I was the chief investigator for MUFON, and that's what I was before I was state director. But I appointed a new chief investigator, who's another musician. I'm a musician, and he's another guitar slinger. I saw your guitar hanging up, so there's a bunch of us. Travis Walton's a guitar slinger. But Gene Marigolano is my new chief investigator. He's a amazing rockabilly musician. He's sort of like a cross between Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, and Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, nice.
I think I know, because he'll start doing the usual rockabilly stuff that you hear, but then he'll go off and go crazy and play wild stuff. Very inventive guitar player, and he likes to show off. He'll play behind his back, and he'll stand. He's got like a guy who plays a double bass, a large acoustic bass, and he'll put his bass off on the side, and then Gino gets on top of that and starts wailing. He's a skinny guy, so he's not going to break the bass. But anyway, he's my chief investigator, and he's a great guy and sidekick and everything else. Just you should have him on sometime. Wonderful, wonderful guy. So
I got Bob Spearing coming on. Next week or the week after.
Say hi for me. Bob is a dear friend. I love that guy, and he's one of the great ufologists out there.
Me too.
We work similarly, Bob and I. He looks for patterns, and so do I. I look for markers from case to case, And that's what he does. He looks for similarities between cases, and it doesn't matter what year it was, but he'll find similar cases with similar beings, similar actions, and similar effects. And I think that that's an important thing that some people ignore, because this phenomenon is a continuum.
Hold on right there, Earl. Thank you to Jennifer, Joanne, and Kevin for the super chats. Here comes the next half hour.
Ooh. That gets your attention.
Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. From Southern California, MUFON, Earl Grey Anderson is with us tonight. We're going to get to his most interesting cases of 2023 as the year starts to wind on down, and look forward to 2024. What kind of year was it for you, Earl, in investigation?
It was an exciting year. I think my main goal this year was creating a local a community here in Los Angeles. And that was, and also spreading the wealth as far as, I've been training multiple field investigators in how to do this the right way. Which is, it's a lot of work. You have to have the passion for it. You have to really, really want to know what the truth is. You have to throw your presuppositions out the window, and you sort of have to wear a skeptic's hat and a true believer's hat at the same time. It's a tightrope walk. And I had wonderful mentors, and I'm trying to kind of pass that on to pay it forward. So right now I'm training 6 new people. And they're all really, really good. MUFON has a new, we have the MUFON University that Mindy Toutfest, who's an amazing, she's the dean of MUFON University. And now if you become a field investigator, you have this wealth of information, these videos that help you, because, we've had the Field Investigator's Handbook for a long time. My friend Ron Rager wrote that. A lot of people don't know who the author was. Wonderful guy, old aerospace guy. He's a friend. But the way that I kind of learned, you'd kind of get thrown in the pool and you have to learn how to swim. With, I'd get, my state director at the time, Jeff, would give me great advice, but you sort of had to learn the ropes. It's different from that now. If you become a MUFON field investigator, and anywhere that you guys live out in the listening public, you can be in any other country, any other state, you will have access to that information. Also, they're going to be releasing all of the old paper files from MUFON. It's a new project that Bob Spearing is sort of spearheaded. And it's about to premiere. It's going to be premiering in the new year. I think, from what I know, day one, January 1st or 2nd, I think it's going to be available. So the resources are just deep and wonderful. I also know that they're planning on publishing Leonard Stringfield's his case reports, the written reports, which I've looked at. I spent some time over at MUFON headquarters years ago, and they had this, but it needed to be digitized and redacted of names, because some of these people are still alive, phone numbers and addresses and names and stuff. But that is ready to go too. But anyway, that's been one of the more exciting things that I've been doing, is just kind of paying this forward and seeing people learning a real love to approach the phenomenon in a scientific way. You can't really use a scientific method per se, because you can't repeat an experiment. I mean, you can try CE5 and hope the UFO appears again, but when it comes down to it, it's not like it's a repeatable experiment. But you can be scientific in the way that you do it, and you can have definitely. I've got standards, and they're high ones, and you have to learn the difference between a drone and Starlink and a Chinese lantern and a UFO. There are certain things that are true to every single close encounter with a craft or a being as well. Things like the Oz effect. Jenny Randall from the UK, wonderful ufologist, she coined the term the Oz effect. When you're close proximity to a craft or a being, you experience this strange psychological thing that overcomes you. I've experienced it, and other people do. You'll read a report, and you'll notice certain markers in the good cases. Things become very quiet. You can't hear the sounds of nature. If there's usually car sounds and traffic and stuff, it's almost like being in a studio quiet room when you're in the presence of a UFO or a being. Time seems strange, and there are other things that happen as well. It's called the Oz effect. So I try to get, all of my people up to square with things like that and what to look for. And when you hear something absurd in a UFO case, for instance, I notice that many of the greatest UFO cases will have, I think, an intentional point of absurdity in them. It's almost like a universal joke or something. Everything is perfect. It's this, massive thing that's hanging in the air. That doesn't have any known propulsion to it that we know of. But yet you can, it all seems pretty darned awesome. And then something silly will be there, almost like a fairy tale like element. It's like the Eagle River case that Hynek loved so much, where the aliens came down to Simonson's farm, wasn't that his name? The little hatch opens up. They ask him for water. He gets it. He comes back, and they bake him bad tasting buckwheat pancakes on a cosmic grill. Okay. Now, for some reason, Hynek, well, I know the reason why. Hynek loved that case because every little piece was in where it should be. It all made sense. The guy had passed all these lie detector tests that he had been put through. He was very, very, very sincere. I believe that other people had seen the craft from a distance. But then there's this note of absurdity in there. It kind of, I love Jacques Vallée's Magonia book. If you haven't read it out there, you guys should. It pisses people off. It pisses a lot of the scientific ufologists off. But but yet it holds true. I see that in my own cases, that there will be, talking about really good cases. All right. I had one case this year where it's a woman who's now in her 50s, but when she was a child, she had cystic fibrosis, which is a deadly lung disease. They didn't expect her to live much longer. She was, I think, about 8 years old. And she and her brother, his older brother, and the mom, I interviewed all three of them. The mom is older now, but she's still with us and still, sharp as a tack. They were there. The father was a park ranger out here in near the Big Bear area. And they had a house that was all the modern conveniences, and, except it was the backyard was this deep forest that just kept on going, very remote. So the first night, the little girl is in her room and she sees these lights coming through the window. And she gets up and she saw what people will sometimes call orbs. You know, they're these spherical, self-illuminated, sort of almost transient looking things. And they were moving around their backyard, going in and out of the trees. And she was just amazed by it. It was beautiful and it was kind of whimsical. And then she gets tired. I mean, her health was really bad, and she kind of crawls back into bed and she goes to sleep. The next day, the brother noticed burn marks, like in a perfect circular pattern in their backyard. And the mother, something happened to the mom, and she doesn't want to talk about it. Now she's, in her early 90s or late 80s, I think. She won't talk about it, but she said, everything my daughter and my son are telling you, it's all true, but I can't talk about it. It scares me. Second night, same thing. The lights are in the backyard, and it was hard for her to get out of bed, but she went to the window again, pulls the drapes. She's looking at these self-illuminated spheres doing this dance in the backyard. Well, one of them comes right up to the window. Oh, before that, okay, here's where the crazy absurdity starts. They're like illuminated yellow. And she noticed that they started turning into the little have a nice day happy faces. Okay. It just now this isn't something that Congress wants to hear, right? They want it to be this nuts and bolts thing and aliens that are, but I'll tell you something, and this phenomena is more than extraterrestrials doing air shows. They're here for a reason. I think they're here to change us. They're here to make an impression, and they're showing us stuff about ourselves. So she's watching happy faces now moving around. And one of these orbs comes right up to the window, and it's face to face with her, and it turns into the face of a gray alien. And the last thing that she remembers is these two black shiny eyes and sort of an afterthought mouth looking straight into her eyes. Her next memory is waking up the next morning, tucked into bed, and she can't breathe through her nose. She's having real trouble breathing through her nose, and she's calling for her mom. She feels something weird on her face. So the mom comes in there, and there's this scab that's over half of her face. And the mom goes and gets hot compresses. It took like hot compresses to get this off of her. And she was crying. She was confused, didn't know what was going on. But the mom noticed that her daughter's lungs were clear for the very first time since she had ever been born, So her lungs were completely clear. She had no problem breathing. Went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, I can't explain this, but your daughter is perfectly well. There's no trace of cystic fibrosis here. The main witness told me that she went and she lived the rest of her life like a normal person. She was a rebellious teenager, like so many of us do. But here she was, in her mid 50s, I guess, somewhere, in that realm. She really wanted to get this off of her chest. She knew who healed her, and she knew that it was this strange encounter that she had with our visitors. I love that case. I love it so much. And that's one of my favorite cases we've had the last year. It was an ERT case. I had the honor of investigating and closing that one myself. It got a 2 thumbs up unknown disposition on it. And the cases like that I really love. But I mean, it's just this note of absurdity. It's almost like, are our ETs like Monty Python fans or something? It's just like, why the happy faces? It's
Right.
a screen memory, of course. It's sort of like Mike Cleland's owls, and other people see 4-foot tall jackrabbits. Susan, in the studio audience there. That's another favorite case of mine. I didn't close that one. I did assign it to my police detective, field investigator, Richard Benaziak. And he's very thorough. He's just the facts man. But he closed that one as unknown. I know Preston Dennett wrote about it, but that was also a MUFON case from the last year. There's rumors it may actually be one of the cases of the year next year. So,
Wow.
and it's absurd. I mean, she, she and her friend got out of the Navy. They're doing a cross country road trip home to North Carolina. And somewhere in, I think it was in Colorado or Utah. I'm not going to go look the case up right now, but the road was blocked with these 4-foot tall jackrabbits. They had to stop the car. They got out of the car, and suddenly this beam of light comes down from the sky, and all the rabbits turn around at the same time. And they were the same little guys that healed my friend that saw the happy faces. It was the little 4-foot tall gray guys with the black eyes. Crazy. What, 4-foot tall jackrabbits? Where do you get that? And they had missing time. They had they wound up 400 miles away from where they originally started from, and it didn't show up on their odometer. It didn't show up on the odometer. So apparently they were Star Trek. I guess their car was Star Trek down to, where they wound up as well. Found themselves in this diner. Yeah, there you are. Hi, Susan. How are you doing? That's you. I mean, cases like that I love. And those are things I look for in the better cases. They always, you see certain things that you can always expect. The Oz effect is always there. The narrative is always run by our visitors. We don't really get to add to it. If you think that you can plan on getting photos and videos of a flying saucer or a ET, good luck. When you're close enough to get a good photo. I mean, there's a good reason why they're all distant and fuzzy, because if you're close up to them, you're either in the UFO or else you're sort of under their control, and they run the narrative.
I got to ask you before you move on here, because I catch myself doing this when I go out in the forest, if I'm looking for Sasquatch or just on a relaxing drive, because I find driving through the forest extremely relaxing. Do you ever find yourself now being a time watcher in your own vehicle, just in case?
I don't know that I can do anything about it. If they want to take me, or they want to show themselves, or try to, give me a teachable moment, I'm not afraid of them. I had a couple of weird experiences, like most of us have that are in this field. There's a reason why you become a ufologist. There's a reason why you become obsessed with this phenomenon. And, I don't think that it's a malign phenomena. I think that some of the beings probably don't have our best interest at heart, but I think probably the guys in charge do, because we're still here. We haven't had, like, the movie Independence Day hasn't happened. I think we're probably very frustrating to our visitors, because we've been told by them for 75 years at least that war is wrong, that they don't approve of our nuclear weapons. But here we are. We're still, our greatest threat is still ourselves. So my guess is, my hope is, I think they're trying to get us so that we're ready for prime time. I think that they want us to join like a Star Trek kind of universe. But if we went out there the way we are right now, I think it would be more like Star Wars if we kept on, following our usual form. So I think they've got some work to do still. We've definitely have some work to do. And that's anyway.
Yeah. Like, I always find myself, getting back to what I said, I always find myself now clock watching. Okay, now it's 10:15. Now it's 10:25. Okay, making sure that there's no missing time in any of that, because once you're experienced, it can happen anywhere. And it always seems to happen when you're out alone doing something. We got 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Earl Grey Anderson, MUFON, Southern California, is our guest tonight. When it comes to the experiencer, what kind of patterns do you like to look for?
I look for, well, everybody's different, but you notice that our visitors kind of treat everybody, they sort of have their methods. I look for teachable moments in people. I notice that a lot of people in the military seem to be given a challenge, and then they're watched for behavior. I had one Marine that was abducted right through the roof of Camp Pendleton. Had kind of aggressive ETs that seemed to be trying to trigger a response from him. They wanted to see what a soldier would react like. And they told him, well, you can't move now, and we have your body, and we're going to take your soul. And this guy was he had a religious background, and at first he's trying to hit him, and he's acting violently, and then eventually he started praying for himself, for the world, and the whole situation. And that seemed to satisfy something that they were looking for. He found himself back in the barracks. I mean, he was covered with these weird marks, and definitely he was suffering from ontological shock. I mean, the man, he went to Vietnam later on, and he doesn't have PTSD from that. He has PTSD from his experience. Then I have another guy. I was telling you a little bit about this before we went on air, where I had a Navy corpsman who was working on a aircraft carrier, and he was taken on his 21st birthday. Nothing to do, middle of the Pacific Ocean. He's bored. He's trying to read. And then he found himself floating up through the deck of the aircraft carrier, and he could feel himself going through the decks. He said it wasn't like an out-of-body experience. I think they somehow or another made the decks malleable to where I could actually float right through. They brought him to low Earth orbit. There wasn't a UFO in this case. It was two beings that looked like they were made out of light. And they showed him the Pacific Rim volcanoes going off. There's going to be this horrible, like human Holocaust, I guess, is what he was being shown. And again, it stops, and it's like they're waiting for a response. And with him, he starts crying at first, and then he's going, oh my God, what is this going to really happen? Is there some way I can stop this from happening? And there was this sort of outpouring of love towards him from the beings. And just like the Marine, he found himself back on the aircraft carrier, changed his life entirely, completely changed him. He wasn't spiritual before. Now he is. He didn't care about, he became a soldier, and now he's adverse to human violence against other humans. You see changes that happen in these people. It's sort of like it triggers a good response in humans, and I look for stuff like that in cases. It's teachable moments, and you sort of notice patterns in experiencers. It very seldom, some people never get over that speed bump, that initial speed bump of fear, right? The whole the ultimate replacement theory thing, they're going to take over, and but some people just never get over that. I had one guy, an old German man, where his entities kept coming back and putting the same implant into the same foot, and then he'd go to the surgeon, and they would remove it. And then the beings would come back and they would put it into his foot. And being a stubborn guy and angry, he'd go back to the surgeon. He had to find like 5 different surgeons to do it, and he had the implants, and the guy had the paperwork from the hospitals, his foreign object in right foot. And this guy said, well, I sleep with a gun under my pillow. I'm not going to try to do his accent. I sleep with a pistol under my pillow. Sometime they won't paralyze me fast enough, and I'll get a shot off fast enough. Kill them, little bastards, And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe start an interstellar war. More likely is you'll shoot your neighbor in the next apartment over. Maybe you shouldn't be trying to sleep with a gun and trying to shoot them.
Earl, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We got Earl Grey Anderson for one more hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Having a blast. I love story time like this. I hope you're enjoying it too. These are all real cases of real people with real UFO and ET contact. Spaced Out Radio continues with Earl Grey Anderson in Hour 2. Next. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are clear. Let's see what Filth is up to here.
I'm going to go take a bathroom break real quick here.
You go. I'll be right back, too.
Be right
Filth
back.
All right.
It's all up to you, Dirty Filth. Oh,
All right.
look at that. That's so
I gotta look
cool.
at-
I see the aliens.
It's maybe similar to similar sounding military bases.
Oh, that's great. All right, I'm going to run, so I'm not holding you guys
Pet your cat for me.
over.
All right, everybody. Go to my website, filthy.com, FYLTHY.com. And just go look at my artwork. My new calendar will be out probably in the next week or so. This is Brandenburg Air Force Base, not to be confused with other military installations of similar names. Sovereign, I have a black hat. And a black cat. Wait. She's not totally black. It's mostly gray as well in there. I'll let everybody know when the calendar is available. And the second book should be out, I don't know, maybe like February or something. Ooh, hi, Gentry. I haven't seen you for a million years. I hope you're doing good. It could be a cube box instead. I had some notes and I remembered I wrote down while I was listening to the David Grush thing earlier this year. And he mentioned at Vandenberg, there was a football-sized cube, or football stadium-sized cube. Holy. Well, that's good, Gentry. I'm glad you're good. Hi, Neil. Hi, Vanuold. Hi, Marty. Hi, For Your Mind. Anyways, so I wrote that down as a note earlier.
All right, I'll be an hour and we're done. So.
Scribbling through stuff and decided I was going to draw that one tonight. I actually had a different idea, but it may be my chair. If it sounds like a toot. Yeah, that's probably my crusty old chair. I should probably get some WD-40 on there. Where's Jim WD-40 guy or whatever? You should get over here and fart knockers.
Hello, Blob.
The Blob has returned, everybody. No. I mean,
beware the Blob.
Yeah. all hail the mighty Blob. It's interesting.
That's a good science fiction movie. The original one, the original Blob.
I watched that when I was a kid. I used to watch all those cheesy black and white films. They were so awesome. Same with all the old Godzillas. I liked watching those too.
Oh, but the best, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Oh,
that always creeped me out as a kid. Because that was
really?
all the War of the Worlds and everything. Come on, Blob. War of the Worlds was all this weird action and everything. And then The Day the Earth Stood Still, the guy comes down and I was like, when's he gonna hit somebody with a laser beam or something? It never really happened. So
no, it's the opposite. We killed him, That's probably what would happen. They ask why we don't land on the White House lawn. It's kind of obvious why.
I drew a cartoon a while back and it was some aliens flying through space, and the one alien's like, look, Henry. He's like, what do you mean, Martha? And she's like, there's that planet that just shoots everything. And he's like, lock the doors and roll up the windows. So that's probably what aliens do when they ride by Earth.
It's the ET on the left. His name is Stanton, huh? I like that.
I got 3 aliens that I draw in my comics: Carl, Stanton, and Alan.
Oh, cool. I like that. Carl Sagan
Alan,
or Carl Sagan, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, Carl Sagan also a nod to the alien that bugs Dave all the time, Carl. So Alan for J. Allen Hynek, Carl,
Of course.
Stanton Friedman, and
I only met Stanton once, and he was the sweetest, kindest, nicest guy in the world. What a wonderful guy. Oh, there goes Blob, man. Is it a he or a she?
Control.
Yeah.
She.
Oh,
she's old. She was found half frozen to death in a hay bale.
Oh, you're good.
On the farm.
Saved a cat. You saved a kitty, man.
It was actually Mrs. Filth, but I'll take credit for it.
Oh, okay.
We love Blob around here. I got to tell you, Earl, when I was quite young in my spaced out radio career, my radio career that I had previous, I'd only ever froze once. And that's when I interviewed Wayne Gretzky. And so all of a sudden I get into the UFO world and I'm interviewing Stanton Friedman. And this is way before we did a recording. And I just kept screwing up, and I'm sorry, Stanton, sorry. I said, Stanton, I just got to say this. Holy shit. You're Stanton effing Freeman, man. Stanton effing Freeman. And he starts laughing on the phone, and he goes, well, Dave, I do put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you, and it just calmed everything down. It was a wonderful, wonderful interview. Hold on. We're coming back in 3 seconds.
All right.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Adoravector. Adoravector is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go again. Earl Grey Anderson, MUFON Southern California, is here tonight sharing some amazing UFO stories with everything that's going on in the world today. And Earl, thank you so much for being here. I mean, have you ever seen ufology so volatile as it is today? I mean, what are your thoughts on this becoming a highly political subject?
That's the worst thing it can become. The worst thing it can become. The one thing that I loved was that people were actually reaching across the aisle in Congress for the first time. Matt Gaetz and Rubio, and then Chuck Schumer and all these the people that are usually at each other's throats. This was the one thing that stopped the usual rhetoric and got them to actually work together on something. Now that I was thrilled about, absolutely thrilled about. But I guess what people forgot about is that the people that hold the secrets are the gatekeepers, are it's the military industrial complex, as it always has been, and it is the privatized guys. It's the aerospace groups. And they're the guys that don't have to answer a FOIA request, right? Those are the guys you can put in as many FOIA requests as you want, and you're not going to get anything from it because it's not the government. And I think they want to keep it that way. I think that these guys, it's going to have to literally be wrenched from their cold, dead hands in the end. And I don't know that they're that that's going to happen. I hope, though. I hope against hope. I'm working with this Hollywood, Disclosure Alliance right now with Steve Bassett and some wonderful people. My mentor Kathleen Martin is part of the group, and just all luminaries, and we all hope and want disclosure to happen, and I think that we might get some sort of limited disclosure. But as far as seeing craft and the bodies and all that, I don't, I hope rises eternal. I hope to God I am eating my words tomorrow or next week or next year. But I think it's going to be the long haul. And I think that this phenomena is more than just astronauts visiting us from other planets. I think that there's a much deeper thing to it. And I think that it's as old as we are, and older, much older than us. I mean, they may have actually created us. Don't tell anybody. So it's going to be a world-shaking thing, and for them to do complete disclosure and show. It's literally opening up Pandora's box. Now, I think that the toothpaste is out of the tube. I think that we've heard from enough whistleblowers that even the Joe on the street knows that something's going on. People that used to be very condescending to me about what I did in the UFO field. How can you, I had, one dear friend of ours whose ex was, a mucky muck in aerospace. It's like, how do you investigate something that doesn't exist? And it's like, well, people have kind of stopped that rhetoric quite a bit. You still hear some of that, but I think that the last year has changed things for the good, and I hope that it keeps changing things for the good. But just try to be patient, you guys, and regardless of what happens, I don't think they're going to give us, the Ark of the Covenant. I would be really, really happy to just hear officially from the White House that UFOs are not us. It's another intelligence that's not human, and we're not alone in the universe, folks. And that may be all we get. I really don't know if they're going to pony up, crash materials and bodies, and or bring out, like a live alien or anything. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, I keep working towards that. It feels like we accomplished more than I thought we ever would. If we don't kill each other first, we may have a beautiful future ahead. So, but yeah, I mean, ufology definitely blew up. I mean, I just try to keep off of Twitter or X or whatever that guy, what's his name, that wants to put up the 58,000 satellites that everybody keeps thinking are UFOs, and they're going to eventually crash and burn and start killing people on Earth. I read an article where, some of these Starlink satellites, they're in an orbit that's going to disintegrate. They stop working after 5 years. They only have a 5-year half-life, and that there's so many up there that this it was a very well written article. I think Popular Mechanics or something. Popular Science magazine, where they said that now it will actually be a risk for people on Earth of being hit by space garbage. Not to mention, I mean, if you've seen the film Gravity, that's a real risk now. If you've got all these satellites that are no longer under our control, and they certainly can't keep track of 58,000 of them, and they plan on to keep on putting them up as those wind down. They are going to keep shooting them into space. It's going to be awful crowded in low Earth orbit. Where are you going to build your space hotel, Elon?
I read an article. I'm not sure if it was late last year, earlier this year, and I'm really bad for copying articles. Grabbing them. I'm not like one of these Twitter people who will, post absolutely everything. But I read this article about Elon Musk, who actually made a comment that all of his rockets have been followed. And be damned if I can find that article anywhere now.
Well, he
It is
contradicted himself because he recently said, well, if anybody knew there were aliens, it would be me, and I've never seen anything. So, well, he's not been up there either. That's the other thing.
well,
He
true.
hasn't gone up himself.
There are a lot of scientists out there involved in this, whether they're involved with the SCU or the government or agencies or military branches. And let's talk about Rich Hoffman, because he on this show, he is a good guy, but he made a very controversial comment on this show back in April, May, when we had him on, basically saying that he wishes ufology would stand down and let the scientists do their job without any interference from people who have had experiences or claim to have had experiences, or people who are investigating this, because we're actually, I'm paraphrasing him, we're actually being more of a deterrent and detriment than a help. What's your thoughts on that?
Who's going to gather their evidence for them? I mean, they're not doing it. MUFON has been doing the Air Force's job since 1969. There used to be a bumper sticker you could buy like that a few years back. I mean, we literally have been in Congress. Who do they call? They're not calling Seth Shostak in. They're in to speak in a secured skiff. They're calling people in from MUFON, and what they want to hear about our case reports. That's a real thing that's been going on. I mean, MUFON's been meeting with Congress quarterly in a secured skiff, and showing them our best cases. So I disagree with Rich on that, but I love Rich. He's a great guy. I don't completely agree with anybody, and I might not agree with myself completely next year. I mean, I choose to be malleable in my thought. I'm not like an edifice that's unmovable, and my mind is certainly changeable when the evidence pops up. So I have to agreeably disagree with my friend Rich Hoffman there. But I mean, other people like Avi Loeb, he's doing great work right now. I mean, he actually did a Zoom at the last MUFON Symposium that we had in Cincinnati this year. So, I mean, some people are, some of the scientists are willing to work with us, and they're happy to do that. And I bump into scientists who are happy to work with us, and they're interested in what we bring to the table. Other people feel impinged upon, or, feel like their PhD should mean more than, my 9 years of and 1,000 cases that I've investigated myself, But, I mean, opinions are like, what? Everybody's got one, right? So, but I don't think all scientists feel like that,
No, I mean, you take Dr. Gary Nolan, the esteemed Dr. Gary Nolan from Stanford University, who
he spoke
says
to the ERT. He did a Zoom with ERT,
where he came out and said the exact opposite, saying, we have to start listening to people. In fact, we need more stories, because these are the people who are giving the scientists the leads into what's going on, especially with personal contact. So, I mean, there is a real contradiction of everything that is going on, even with the big boys playing.
I don't think that people see UFOs by accident. I think that people are targeted to have experiences. I think that the right people have experiences. And I see people, it used to be that the idea was that the only people that put in UFO reports were hillbillies or drunks, and it's the opposite. I mean, I got another report in from a police officer today, right? It's always pilots, military, engineers, people that are interested in this. They see something in the sky, and they know that it's not ours. And that's where our reports come from. So you need to have some gathering system. And I feel like people are going to be more apt to put in a sighting report to MUFON that's a nonprofit group of people that are doing this for the love of the phenomenon. I mean, our creed, MUFON's mission statement, is a scientific investigation of UFOs for the benefit of humanity. And that's true. That's why we do this. People interpret it differently, but it's pretty solid and simple mission statement. And it's my personal mission statement as well. I think that it's going to make life on Earth better for us in investigating and really focusing in on what is happening and why it's happening. And you have to listen to the experiencers to know why.
Who is speaking for the experiencers?
The experiencers themselves.
Okay, but
I do.
I know
people. I know other people that do. I'm trying to shake the dust off of the bed sheets and trying to get more people to feel comfortable talking about this. I know that there's kind of the old guard, even in MUFON, that, it's all nuts and bolts and it's air shows by alien astronauts. It's random and, they're showing off their high tech. Why would they do that? If they're here, and I think some of it is probably interdimensional. I think some of it is probably interstellar. And I think some of it's probably us from the future. Some of it may be AI from the future. I think that there's multiple things going on. It's not just one thing. And we need to do due diligence to this phenomena that's being reported by these people that we respect, that we put our lives in the hands of, pilots of commercial aircraft. I have a pilot that came in last year who he gave me the photos of the logbook with everybody's signature on it. The whole flight crew saw this. They were en route between Japan and Hawaii, and they had just gone over the international date line. And it was still dark where they were. You could see stars in the sky. You could see a little limb of blue just on the horizon below of the Earth. And they watched these 3 silver flying saucers just first flying around and then going into a perfect triangular formation in a holding pattern. And they just sat there. And these guys are flying, the flight crew, the radar guy, and and they're all, and the guy, the pilot is pointing out at it, saying, "What's that?" And they're going, "What?" He said, that, and they all see it. These 3 chromed discs, he said that they were probably 200 feet across each, that they just hung there in a holding pattern, and then suddenly, all at once, they shot down below the horizon line. This is the magnitude of cases that we're getting. And these are the people that we put our lives in the hands of. I mean, I get reports from surgeons, doctors, scientists, engineers, police officers, pilots, military, Air Force pilots, Navy, corpsmen. So why, if this isn't a real thing, it's not important. How come these guys think it's important enough to go to MUFON and put in a sighting report? You got to listen to these guys, and you have to know that something is going on, has been going on, and I think the toothpaste is out of the tube. I think that even, when I first went into this, I got rolled eyes a lot. If I would go on to a podcast or a radio show that wasn't UFO based, it would sort of start out with the giggle factor. They'd play the X-Files theme. It doesn't happen anymore. So I think that the whole disclosure thing, and even though, people are getting political about it at each other's throats, and it's this way, it's that way, they're good, they're evil, all this stuff. Yeah, that's not so good. But the attitude out there and the way that it's accepted now. If I go and I talk about the phenomena at a family dinner, people aren't giggling and aren't like doing this, they're interested. And it has changed the way that people are looking at this. I'm hoping that the experiencer phenomena becomes as accepted as the tic tac and the nuts and bolts stuff. It's not yet, but it will be, because the same people that are reporting the nuts and bolts stuff are the same people that are reporting, and then they took me into the craft and this happened. Or they came through the wall and they visited me. And they told me this. They said that, war is wrong and nuclear weapons are going to destroy you, and stop trashing the earth, and, raise your vibration, live on a better level than you're living, or you're going to destroy yourselves. Yeah. It looks like there's a good force out there.
I think we have a lot of hurdles, Earl, right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hurdles where you can't be an experiencer unless you're a commercial pilot or in the military. All of these different groups that are popping up, playing what I call disclosure for dollars, trying to play a threat narrative which 99.9% does not exist at this point.
A threat narrative? Was that what you like? A
UFO,
threat assessment?
The threat assessment, the threat narrative that's pushed the last few years.
It's a lot of that.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Let's be honest. Threat narratives create budgets.
Yeah.
Especially in the United States. It creates an immediate multi-billion-dollar budget that we see a lot of people pandering to right now. And if you go in the UFO field, you see the names. Okay, they're all out there. The groups are out there, from Enigma Labs to anything Avi Loeb touches. They're all pandering for disclosure for dollars. Okay, and that's not an insult to them, but let's call it what it is. Okay, and then
you do need a budget, though. You do, if you want to do anything scientifically, for instance, you need the equipment.
Oh, yes.
You need to be able to hire people that can work and understand a spectrometer, or can understand electromagnetic pulses and this and that. But no, I know. I mean, the military has been the guys that have been the secret holders and the gatekeepers forever and ever and ever. And if you look at even, where, Lou Elizondo and all that came from, the program was about threat assessment. It was, how can, is this a threat, and can we weaponize it? And I mean, again, there's big bucks in killing other humans, which is horrible. And something has to happen with us.
It really is.
I hope I can help. I mean, I every single podcast, radio show, TV show, whatever I find myself, in front of a crowd or a small group of people, I tell them the same thing. I tell them what experiencers are told, because you can come from any religion background, you can come from any political ideal. It doesn't matter. Everybody's told the same three things: that war and nuclear war are going to destroy you and are keeping you from growing as a species. Number two, stop trashing your world. You only get one. And number three, you need to learn to live better. You need to be better humans. Elevate your vibration, raise your frequency. However people put that. It's that we're still living on this sort of meat and potatoes level of survival, and I think that that humans can be better than that. And I think that those three messages that we hear from experiencers, wherever they come from, you hear those three telepathic messages that they're given, and I think there's a reason for that. That's the message we're told. I mean, it goes along with my dear buddy, Robert Salas, when he was in the capsule of an ICBM base. And what happened? A UFO showed up, everybody up on top got scared. And what did the UFO do? It didn't start shooting at people. It didn't go and, it didn't do animal mutilations on humans. It turned off their nukes. It happened again to David Schindel, who's, the next state over. Like right after that happened to Bob Salas, it happened to David Schindler. To the exact same thing. 10 nukes were taken offline. There was a large plasma-like disc that was hanging ominously over the base. In David's case, there was like a lot of soldiers up on top. There was a mess hall, a barracks. And so a lot of people saw this thing. it didn't hurt anybody. It turned off the nukes.
And on that note, Earl, we got you for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to try and fit in some audience questions as well. Earl Grey Anderson, MUFON, Southern California, joins us here on Spaced Out Radio. His knowledge is second to none when it comes to UFOs. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio. Going by way too fast.
Can you believe that? We only have a half an hour left.
I know. It's ridiculous. I mean, I have so much to ask you, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, God damn it, you're going to have to skip that one.
I'll come back if you want sometime.
Mm-hmm.
We get along. We have fun. I have to grow my beard, though, a little bit. Before.
Nah, you got that gorgeous hair.
Oh, well, you got more hair than I do, though. Mine's like receding really quick. You got the Ernest Hemingway, Melville look with the proper beard and anyway. I'm not going to complain. I still have hair, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I always trim this thing. I sort of keep the Heineck goatee, but it would probably, I could probably get it to do a little better, but. Shane Hurd, I don't know. Do you know my buddy Shane? He's got a good beard. Yeah, he's got a good beard.
Incredible beard.
Yeah.
I would actually like to frame that one and put it in my studio, to be blunt. But no, up here the beard has two reasons. Number one, I hate shaving. Okay.
Me too.
But number two, going into winter when it gets really cold out. It is true, man. The beard does a lot to block the cold from the face.
True. And it is cold where you're at.
Oh, yeah. Well, not yet. It's getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cold is different for you guys. And, here it's land of perpetual sunlight. And we get like a little sprinkle. And we act like people start crashing into each other on the freeway. So you don't know how to deal with it. It snowed here like 15 years ago, or maybe 15, 16 years ago. Snowed in LA and people were smashing into each other because they don't know how to drive in the snow and rain. And, it's like they just think it's going to be sunny and dry roads all the time. And so, but anyway.
In my area from from October 1st to April 1st, you must have snow tires on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they should have been putting chains on, but people don't know about them here. You just don't. I think even my parents do. If you're going to go to Big Bear or something, to go to Santa's Village was a little theme park that they used to have up there. You'd have to get chains on your tires. It was going to snow, but people just don't understand that anymore. I don't know. De-evolution, I guess.
Who knows?
Not I.
Who knows? Right, but no, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how it all plays out.
And you've had this guy, the one listener's quote up there for a while, Al Grey. It says threaded narratives create budgets, and that's true. I mean, it's unfortunate that we kind of go back down to the tooth and nail kind of stuff. We just have to get beyond our Cro-Magnon, monkey cage selves. This is what happens. This is what happens when you uplift primates. What were they thinking? The dolphins, you should have uplifted them, give them limbs, and let them walk on the land. They might have done better, They certainly would have, you'd probably have a population explosion because, dolphins are horny. Hornier than we are, saying something.
Seconds here. I want to say thank you to Jennifer, Joanne, Kevin, T-Bone, and W. Decker for the great super chats. And Grantavius, little Granty Baker, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Grant the Lip Blade.
Can't say it.
Happy birthday to you. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for joining
And
in.
many more.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Cool.
Grant's a great dude. He's like the brother I never had. Him and Dirty Filth.
Like attracts like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We got about 30 seconds here before we got to come back. Thanks, Mike Rivers. You sing, I mute. Appreciate it. 20
Still
seconds.
enjoying my beer.
I got iced tea tonight. Yeah, I'm on the heavy iced tea.
There you go.
10 seconds. And here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight from Southern California MUFON. Earl Grey Anderson is with us as we are talking UFOs, continuing on here. And Earl, this half hour, I'd like to get into a couple audience questions that are built up here for you.
Sure.
Let's start off with Scott. Do you think, Earl, that aliens are demons and or fallen angels?
No. That's too simple. No. Mm-mm. I mean, come on. I know, I understand why people would think that. Well, I had an experience, and I come from a Christian background. I consider myself a Christian. I pray to Jesus, and I was telling them to leave in the name of Jesus Christ, and they weren't leaving. And it worked every other, if I found myself in a weird situation that felt dark and evil, that did work. Didn't work with them. And and it was ultimately good in my life, having that experience. I believe that I've made contact, a few times, and it's made my life richer, and I feel closer to God for it and closer to my fellow humans. So no, I don't think they're demons and fallen angels. I know people that do. It's too simplistic. It's too self-limiting, and no. So sorry.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to Simon in Australia. Has MUFON been contacted for input after David Grush's statements or hearings?
Yes. Yeah. Again, we're meeting quarterly with Congress, and a secured skiff, where you have to go to read top secret documents, and you can't have a cell phone in there. It's a Faraday cage, so there's no way to get information in or out of that room. It's where they talk about the most highly secretive stuff that we know of. And we've been meeting regularly with members of Congress and some big official mucky mucks. So, it definitely David Grush coming forward ramped a lot of this stuff up. I have a lot of respect for that man. He risked not only his pension, but his life by coming forward. So kudos to David Grush.
All right. Do you think MUFON has an important role to play within the government and getting into the political side of everything? I know many investigators feel, and I'm kind of teeter-tottering on this, many investigators feel that we should be there by the people, for the people, because it's the people who have been keeping us going and investigating for 55 plus years here. And now that you're kind of playing or not you, but the board of directors is playing more of a government game, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
They're not, I don't think they're playing a government game. I mean, MUFON is a large tent, and it's not like we're all clones of each other in MUFON. We run the gamut. I mean, I'm very, the experiencer resource team, we know that the experiencer phenomenon is real. Many of us are experiencers ourselves. But we have the pure nuts and bolts people in MUFON, but I don't think that MUFON is trying not to be partisan. That's for sure. I certainly was going to make a sign to put outside of my meetings, and then realized I didn't need it because my people are so smart they didn't need the sign. But we all come from so many different backgrounds. I've got, Democrats, Republicans, Trump supporters, Biden supporters. I've got people from every aspect. And I don't think I was going to make a sign that said, please leave your presuppositions, your politics, and your religious beliefs in this box up front when you enter. We'll take real good care of it, and you can pick it up again when you leave. So that's at least my feeling about it. As far as politics go, I'm not really a politico. I have political feelings. I vote. But I don't. I believe that our visitors are here for mankind, for humankind. And I think MUFON's mission statement, I'll fall back on that again. It doesn't say, we're trying to change the government so they're more open to UFOs or this, that, and the other thing. It's a scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humanity, period. That's it. So.
Well, and I think that's a great statement. Let's just hope that Dave McDonald and everybody doesn't get caught up in the hype. And I guess that's why
I think that Dave is smart, and Dave listens to everybody. And I know Dave, he's a friend. I know all the people on the board of directors are friends and people I respect and love. We don't always agree on everything, but we are on the same page about UFOs being the most important thing on this planet right now.
Perfect.
So
perfect. Love it. All right, let's have a follow-up from Simon here in Australia. How exactly were the nuclear weapons disabled? Is the uranium made non-reactive, or just the rocket control disabled?
The control systems were completely disabled, and it wasn't electronic pulse. It wasn't an EMP, because in one case there was it looked like a laser being shot down, and the other one you didn't see anything visual. But in both cases, with the people that I know that were there when it happened in Minot Base and in Malmstrom, what happened was the computer systems were all still online, the lights were still on, the radio still worked, everything that was electrical worked. But suddenly the computers, the control systems were completely disabled, and not in a way where you could flip a switch and just turn them back on. No, they had to do some serious work on those missiles to get them working again. They disabled the missiles purposefully and really well. Yeah.
I bet. All right, let's move on here to Gentry, who is asking, what are your thoughts on the Madar project / group?
I think it's a good project. I know a few people in my group have Madar nodes and are looking for electromagnetic anomalies that way. I know that we've had some hits that coincided with UFO sightings. So it's just another way it's just another form of evidence and a way of confirming something that was seen visually. So I think it's fantastic.
For maybe our audience out there in Radioland who doesn't know what the Madar project is, could you explain it?
Sure. It's they can pick up electromagnetic anomalies. And with UFOs, there's always some kind of they seem to work on the principles of electromagnetism. A highly powered version of electromagnetism. And so we have individual nodes that people have that pick up their region. I know we just got one in Huntington Beach recently. One of my field investigators has joined the MADAR group, and he's very close to the area where the Tic Tac was seen. That was something that MUFON wanted, and we have it now. I've got another field investigator, my dear friend Jeff Krause, is up in San Luis Obispo, closer to the Channel Islands. We've had some major sightings out there, some major pilot sightings out there. The racetrack UFO that Ben Hansen was talking about, that all happened there. And Jeff has a MADAR node there as well. So yeah, I think it's just another way of investigating this thing and getting confirmation that it's more than just lights in the sky.
Awesome. Earl Grey Anderson, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to Jeremy. What about the incident at Loring Air Force Base?
Which one was that? Sorry.
That I don't know. We'll get.
I'm not sure. I could look it up, but I'm not sure. Is that the? I'm sorry. I'm not sure about that one. I know the 29 Palms one that my friend Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp talked about. There's some controversy about that it may have been military flares, but it wasn't a MUFON report, so I don't know. But I'm not sure which one the Loring Air Force Base.
All right,
case
we'll
was.
get to that one in a little bit.
Memory almost full. I only have so many neurons. There's a lot of UFOs.
Let's go back to Gentry. Do you know what kind of practical uses the ETs or militaries might want black alabaster for, and what its practical uses would be, if any?
I've heard that it's used sort of like a scrying stone. I'm not sure if the military. Well, I've heard that that some ex spooks and stuff in the military were saying that was of interest, and I find it interesting. But that's what I heard, that it was sort of like a way of seeing things that were in the future or in another dimension without going there. That's the way that black alabaster works. Apparently, Native Americans had a form of scrying that way, and it's kind of from antiquity. It was an old way of doing that, and rumor has it that MK Ultra and some of those groups have tried using that as well. So that's kind of all I know about it, though.
All right, Jeremy's saying Loring Air Force Base case happened in 78, 79, somewhere in there.
Can you give me some details about it? Because there's a lot of Air Force cases.
Mm-hmm.
What state was it, and what's the case? It's not popping up.
Yeah, a little bit more, Jeremy, and we'll get it out to Earl as quickly as possible. Pair of questions from Jim here. He is asking, if you could ask an alien anything, what do you think the alien's advice would be for us?
I can tell you. I know exactly what it would be. It's what experiencers are told. That war is wrong, that you're acting like cavemen, and that nuclear war will destroy your species if you keep doing this. If you try a nuclear exchange, there will be no more human species. That will be the end. The second thing that they tell experiencers is that you are treating your planet like it's disposable, and it's not. This is your world. It's one of the most beautiful biospheres, lush biospheres in the universe, and you're treating it like a trash heap. People are actually chided for it and treated like, scolded for the way that we treat our planet. And number 3 is that you guys need to live on a better, higher level. You need to raise your vibration, live on a higher frequency, better yourselves as a species. So those are the 3 things that people are told telepathically. And I think that's what they're trying to tell us. And that's why I keep repeating it. I think that's what ET wants us to know, because we hear it over and over and over again, from military and from, religious people, and from people that think it's an invasion, and people that think that they're, all, ET phoned home, nice guys and stuff. Doesn't matter the background, they get the same messages. Those three. It's a trifecta.
Follow up from Jim. Could the UFOs be changing the Earth's EMFs?
I don't know. I'm not sure, Jim. I'm not sure. Honest to God, I don't know.
Yeah, let's remember Earl is an investigator.
I know. I don't know everything. I try to know as much as I can. But.
Let's go to Tony in the UK. Good morning to you, Tony. Earl, does your evidence and your experience of UFOs point to once being introduced to the phenomena shows itself more and more? If your parents have seen one, siblings will?
Yes. It's familial, and it runs generationally in families. Yep. See it all the time. And in fact, I'll ask people, I'll say, was your parent in aerospace, or did they work on secret projects for the government? Did they? And more times than not, it's yes. It's uncanny. Over and over and over again, I hear that. And my mother worked in it, and here I am. So, and now my son, I think my grandson has the bug. So it runs in families. My son, I was at the Symposium in Cincinnati a couple months ago, and my son called me on the phone, and he and his girlfriend were watching a very, very bright, obvious UFO hovering in front of them. And he called me like 2 a.m, just so excitedly needed to tell me. So it runs in families, yes.
Is it more mother's side or father's side?
Doesn't matter. It's both. It seems like certain families are of interest to them for some reason. I'm not sure why. Seems like a lot of people like O negative blood, Rh negative blood seems to be interesting to them. Certain nationalities, like a Basque nationality, they seem to have a propensity to have experiences and see UFOs. But it does apparently, but it certainly runs in families. Absolutely does.
Let's go to Sovereign. How often do abductions occur in or around military bases?
I only know the ones that I'm told about that are reported, but there are a lot of them. I get a lot of reports of it. So, and it's been going on for a long time. I think there's a vested interest in our warlike propensity that we have in our culture. I don't know if it's because they don't understand it, or if it scares them, or if they're trying to show us something. Probably all three, maybe.
Where in California have the most airship or stadium-sized UFO sightings?
I mean, I saw a UFO that changed size while I watched it. It was impossible actually to happen, but it did. There it was. And it was the size of a stadium, and that was in Winnetka, California, where I live. But I don't really see a clustering of UFO sightings. I mean, there are areas where people report more. Down south, like San Diego, Orange County area, I seem to get a lot of reports from that area. Desert areas, I get a lot of reports from people. So I would say like the desert areas maybe, but it kind of runs the gamut. I think that wherever you are, if they want to contact you, they're going to show themselves to you. It's not random, and people will see what it's going to take to awe them. So some people see stuff, when one friend of mine was talking to me yesterday, somebody that I respect highly, that watched like a flying building. It looked like a giant building, no features on the outside of it, perfectly white. It wasn't a Fata Morgana illusion. It was, it was too close for it to have been that, and the weather conditions weren't right for it. And she watched this thing hovering nearby, and she had eyes on it for like 10-15 minutes. Didn't take a photo, didn't get a video. You don't do that. You don't get to. Some people get them when they're way far away, either allowed to do it or they're lucky, I guess. But it was huge, and I don't know that anybody else saw it. Sometimes I think it's for your eyes only. They can make people forget that they've had an experience. My wife and I both had an experience, and all my wife remembers is our house flooding with light that had no source. That's the only thing she remembers. It took place over 3 evenings in the same week. And I remember most of it. I have total recall of it. And thank God she remembers the weird light phenomena, or she'd probably think I was nuts.
I bet. I totally bet. I mean, who wouldn't, you know? I mean, we're all
Yeah.
a little
I
nuts in
wouldn't
this.
have believed it. Yeah. I wouldn't have believed my own story if it hadn't happened to me. So changed me, though.
We got 4.5 minutes to go here on the show. And this is very, very, very important conversation we've had tonight. And I encourage anybody who is listening to tonight's show to really go back in the archives. Probably one you're going to have to listen to again. And don't forget, all of our archives are free. Cheap plug there. But Earl, out of everything you have learned throughout this phenomena, what has been the most impactful for you?
Just the personal nature of it. When it becomes personal, and it's not just you hearing a UFO story or hearing somebody else's UFO story, but when it touches your life personally, it changes you. It's a catalyst, and you can't really walk away from it. I think some people, it probably turns some people into drug addicts, and they try to get away from it. For me, thankfully, it became this great positive in my life, and I love it. It's the greatest mystery in the universe. But I think it's the personal element. And it does seem very, very personal. I mean, I experience synchronicities in my life. Yeah, synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, and they always seem to be around the UFO phenomenon. I'll be thinking about an author, I'll read the book, and then, well, there is Whitley Strieber is there, in the store or movie theater or something. It's that kind of a phenomena. It's very personal, and I'm not afraid of it. Although it's awesome, it's scary, in many ways. It's bigger than we are, but there's human interaction with it, and I think that it can change people for the better if they approach it the right way. If they can get past that initial speed bump of fear, that ontological shock, and some people never do. I mean, great kudos to David Jacobs, but he never got past that fear factor. They're taken over. I guess I'm more like John Mack and some of those guys. I think that, there's some bad stuff that happens out there. It's if you look at humans, we're not all good and not all bad. And I think that it probably runs the gamut in the universe as well. But there's a personal thing that happens in this phenomena. And
Right.
that's what means the most to me.
How about the people?
What about them?
Just the people who are in need of somebody like an Earl Grey Anderson to talk to about this. What does that mean to you when people open up to you about their stories?
It's the most meaningful thing in the world to me. It's the most meaningful thing in the world to me, and I'll open up to them too. I mean, that's why I'm so. I mean, nobody wants to go and talk about weird stuff that could be laughed at about. But it's sort of, it's reciprocity, and I'm honest with people and experiencers, and they seem to be honest back. So, and I'm friends with all the cases that I've had, all these people that we've talked and shared our stories with each other. You wind up with a new friend, is what I've found. So it's a wonderful thing.
Earl, I want to say I'm not a very politically correct person, so don't take offense to this, but I want to say Merry Christmas to you and your family coming up here.
Merry Christmas, Dave.
In just a couple of weeks here. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on this show. It's an absolute pleasure anytime I get an opportunity to talk with you. So thank you very much. Could you please, in 20 seconds, tell people where they can find your work? Sure.
If you go to SoCal MUFON, SoCalMUFON.com, that's our local website, and I do I do post a blog on there, and we have meetings that go on here in Southern California. You can find me on Facebook just under Earl Grey. You'll recognize me. It's all UFO stuff. There's a few, I was only Earl Grey when I went on to Facebook, but that's how you find me.
Awesome. Earl Grey Anderson, everybody. Thank you very much. Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Then Bigfoot Rob fills in for Robin Haynes tonight on the Cryptid Report. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is next. Stay tuned. Thank you, Earl. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Dave. That was fun. I'll come back anytime and just ask,
I would love it. This went by way too
You're
fast.
A mensch. It was fun. We had a great time. I don't, always have a lot of fun. I mean, I always love doing these shows, but we're definitely peas in a pod and we get on. So I'm happy to come on anytime you'd like. So.
Love you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Love you too. And I don't tell everybody that I'll go back on their show anytime, but I'll tell you that you're one of the handful. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a wonderful Christmas. All right, David and I'll
take care.
Captain, my captain. See you later now.
Take care. Earl Grey, everybody. I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Great show. Great show tonight. I want to say thank you to our super chatters, Jennifer, Joanne, Kevin, T-Bone, and W. Decker. Very much appreciate the love. Stick around for the Dave 101. I'm going off tonight. It'll be on UFOs. It'll be a good one. It's going to be a gooder. Thank you, Eugene, my brother. How you doing? Clean it up, Philip Baca. You're back on the Aquavelva again. Thank you, Simon the Likeable, on my passport. All right. Don't forget, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We got brand new swag up there right now. Make sure you check it on out. And here we go, everybody.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Odora Vector. Odora Vector is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. A website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. On Friday, September 24, 2010, 64-year-old real estate broker Edward Rosenthal got lost when he took a wrong turn on a loop trail near Joshua Tree National Park's Black Rock Campground while trying to get back to his car. After spending 6 days without food or water, he was spotted by a helicopter crew around 10:30 a.m. on September 30, according to National Parks Traveler. Amazingly, Edward was alive but very dehydrated. Edward said he became so weak that he could not sit up when the helicopter rescue crew finally found him. He just made a wrong turn somewhere. He was hiking on a loop trail. Somehow he got off, said Chief Joe Zarkey. Unfortunately, the area he got off on was a very steep gorge-like area. He couldn't get out. He just kept going downhill. He realized he was lost and could not go any further, so he lied low and wrote on his hat. Edward's wife, Nicole Kaplan, told the Associated Press. Edward wrote about what kind of funeral he wanted. While the spot where Edward was found was probably 7 to 8 miles in a straight line in terms of canyon miles from the loop trail, he probably walked twice that distance, said Chief Zarkey. According to the Associated Press, Edward's wife told park officials that Edward had some food and water with him. That lasted a day and a half, so maybe since Sunday he's been out there without food and water, said Chief Zarkey. He got a break because we had some cloudy weather that kept the temperatures down. Edward was transported to High Desert Medical Center in stable condition. He's been reunited with his family. He's talking. He's doing reasonably well, Chief Zarkey said. This is the outcome you hope for.
And thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for a short but sweet story tonight on Spaced Out Radio. If you want more, all you got to do is go over to youtube.com/Among the Missing, and you can listen to all the stories for free. From the missing to the mysterious, filling in for Robin Haynes tonight, we got Bigfoot Michigan Rob and the Cryptid Report. Nice choice of headband for tonight there, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. How you been doing, buddy?
You know, Dave, I saw you earlier and I had to think I got to match what Dave's wearing at least. So yes, I got the blue. You kind of, match. And I've got to say something right off the bat. I've known you for a while now. And for everybody, I have to preface this. I like women. But Dave, I have to say, you're absolutely looking gorgeous with that beard. That beard is filling out. I tell you, that's the Dave Scott I remember back in the day with the long hair, the long beard. I love it. Thank you.
Well, I am growing out the hair a little bit.
Yes.
And the beard, I made a promise. I am growing this beard until our fan party in Reno, Nevada, May 10th through 12th.
Yes.
Okay. I'm growing the beard until then. And then one of our lucky fans who is there, because everybody can come. Tickets you can get at info@spacedoutradio.com. Okay, for a great weekend of paranormal woo, and hopefully you're going to make it this year.
The last 2 years, man, I've had the stroke of bad luck. But as you know, David, I love you, and I'm always looking forward to meeting you in person.
I know. But literally, a fan is going to have an opportunity to shave my beard that weekend.
That will be great. You got to put that on YouTube, of course, Dave. That's 1 million hits right there, buddy.
Oh, I think so too. Maureen is asking, do we get to run our fingers through the beard? Yes, you do. Right before you cut it, but you got to win it.
Now, let me ask you this, too. The lucky person that shaves the beard, are we going to bag it and save it?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
They get to take the beard home with them.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to be in line for that one.
Oh, dude. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. We have to figure out a good cause to do it for, though.
Absolutely. Okay. You always got to have a good cause. I get it.
Absolutely. So we'll figure out a good cause, and maybe what we'll do is this: to the highest bidder, we will take that money. We will go down to the roulette table, and if we double it for everybody who bid on it, we will split the money evenly.
That's a great idea. And my first thought was put it all on black.
Of course. It's always got to be green.
That's right.
One roulette story before we get going here.
Absolutely. Okay.
I was playing red and black at a casino in Vancouver one day. And it didn't matter what color I picked. The opposite was coming up. So anyways, I said, I'm down to my last $40. I said, screw it. I got to break the mold here. So I put $20 on black, $20 on red. Guess what comes up? Green.
Green.
It was not my night. Not my night. That was a quick $200 in about 15 minutes right there. Rob, what do you got for us on the cryptid report
Well,
tonight?
I got to tell you, because I asked you earlier if this is the longer version or shorter. You said the shorter. So I got something really cool for everybody. And this, Dave, and everybody listening, this started out for me 9 months ago with this report I got from this holy man, as he says in his email to me, because I feel reports all the time. Rob, I'm a holy man, and I feel that I've done a disservice, right? I'm like, okay, so I'm intrigued by this email, okay? So I read through it, and it goes on, and it starts like this. Now, this involves like a dogman entity, okay? So I'm listening because I talked to him once, only once, briefly, and I read the email. So here we go. This entire report, which turns into a story, takes place in 2018 to 2020. And this preacher man, as he says, he's like a transient preacher in the deep South, and he's been at many congregations giving his spiel, giving his sermons, whatever you want to interject there, okay? But he goes from small southern town to small southern town. He ends up in a southern town in Mississippi, where he sets up shop, he gets his congregation, and he gets his church or whatever the worship venue was, and he's preaching to the people. Now, this part of Mississippi, Dave, and everybody listening, is very poor. Not a lot of jobs. Just everybody was pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, if you will. So kind of poverty stricken, where this preacher seems to go to all the time. So I'm reading on, and he goes on to mention that he sets up his sermon, and this young couple, Rick and Sally, they come in, a young couple, and after one of the sermons, a preacher, Mr. Preacher Man, we enjoy the congregation, we enjoy what you have to say, but we have something to ask you. Could you come to our house and bless our home? We've only been here for several months, and every night we are visited by this dog-like creature. And they go on to say that, well, and it's very unusual because their house, in their bedroom, the windowsill is maybe 5 feet above ground, and it seems like this dog is standing on 2 legs, peering in at them. And he says, "Well, is there paws on the windsill, the window?" No, no, no. It looks at us. He says, "Well, tell me more about the story. I'm listening to you." But yeah, but it looks like a Doberman Pinscher. But the weird thing about this dog is it's white, and it's got these glowing red eyes peering into the bedroom. And he goes, "Well, I don't know what's evil about that. Well, the red eyes, the dog, and Mr. Preacher Man, it happens every night." He goes, "Well, okay, well, I'll say some prayers for you. Keep coming to mass, coming to the sermon, what have you." Couple weeks go by. Again, after mass, the sermon, the young couple comes to the preacher man. It's getting worse. Now we're getting visions. This thing is coming. It's looking horrible. And we're getting these visions in our telepathically in my husband and the wife's brain, which are very disturbing images. And they go on to tell them about the images. I'm not going to get into that for the show purpose. So he says, I think that perhaps that this, and then he says, he turns the back on them and says, "Look, I'm not liking where this is going. I think that you need to get help from a professional, such as a mental health person, psychiatrist." So he shuns them. In fact, Dave, he tells them, "Until you get this figured out, please don't bother me with this and don't come back to me." So this preacher, what this young couple is telling him, it disturbs him right off the bat. And you got to remember, as I said at the beginning of this report, this story, he's been transient town to town to town in the South. So they come up to him again a couple months later. They're not going to mass, church, whatever it is, and they're looking haggard. They're a young couple, and they gained 10 years of life went away from them. And they said, "Now, preacher, we're getting telepathic messages that are very disturbing, very disturbing. The messages are saying in our brains, to me and my husband, are, this is evil, leave. And it's this dog, this Doberman, white Doberman pinscher with red eyes peering into their window almost each and every night. He's told, and then again, the preacher, get out of here. I have nothing to do with you. Okay. They leave. Doesn't see the couple for a month. A week later, after the sermon, there's a big congregation of people outside of this church or the synagogue, wherever it is, being taking place down south. And the young couple, the man, murdered his wife and then took his own life.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the preacher is now questioning his faith. Why did I turn this couple away? Now their blood is on my hands. And he's telling me in this email, Dave, why did I turn my back? And I'm like, dude, I have no idea. That's not what I do. So word gets out that the preacher turned them away and was told about these visits by this dog-like creature at the window. So what they did, the sheriff of the town, they got together and they had a town hall meeting. Okay. They call it a town hall meeting where the priest was involved, the sheriff, and whoever wanted to join could join in on this. They all get the congregation together, and the priest was questioned by many people. He's very uncomfortable, doesn't know what to say. So he said, look, here's the story. This couple told me about this entity, dog-like entity with red eyes, a white Doberman pinscher. At first, it started with vivid images of disturbing things, and then now it's all of a sudden telepathically speaking to them. And he went on to tell the people, why did you turn them away? Because I didn't believe it. Then they said, why did you tell them to go see psychiatric help? You are our leader in the community when it comes to spiritual actions. Had no answer. So he gets on his knees. He's crying in front of all these people. And then the sheriff who called the meeting puts his hand on the man's shoulder. He kind of, gives him a tug on his shoulder. He goes, you're okay. Please get up. He goes, I've had, the sheriff says to the preacher man, I've had the similar experiences throughout my lifetime living in this community. And he says this publicly in front of a congregation. A man in the back row raises his hand, comes forward. I've had the same thing happen. Another person, I've had the same thing. So about a half a dozen to a dozen people now gather around this preacher man, and they all say they've had similar experience with a dog-like entity at their rooms, giving them these vivid thoughts and telepathic communications. The priest, or whatever this holy man, whatever he calls himself, why didn't you tell me of this? I turned this couple away. Now they're gone. I could have helped. And furthermore, why has this community helped? It seems like this entire community knew about this, but they kept it under wraps until the murder suicide took place, Dave. So again, kind of a long story. To make a long story short, he gets together and he thinks, and to me, Dave, this sounds like a Stephen King novel. I mean, you can make a movie out of this. There's so much into this. So this preacher man, once again, being a transient, he goes from town to town preaching. Decides one morning he's leaving town. So he's all packed up, ready to go. There's a knock at his front door. And he gets up, he answers the door. There's nobody there. He looks down. He looks down on his porch, and there's a basket there. And there's a blanket covering the basket. And it's kind of moving a little bit. And he looks down, what is this? Goes down into the basket, feels around, pulls up the basket reluctantly. And there, in the basket, was a newborn Doberman pinscher.
Oh,
He
wow.
picks up the basket, rushes on his way out of town, Dave, rushes to the sheriff's office, takes the basket with the little baby pup, drops it on the front door, left town. And that's kind of where it ends. I've spoke with this guy one other time briefly. I said, "Where'd you end up going?" No messages back, no communication back. And I'm wondering with this story, this report, I'm wondering if this guy carried this with him from town to town, and maybe this guy has something to do with why these appearances or occurrences had happened. Very interesting story.
Do you think that maybe there is no dog man, but just maybe he's a werewolf?
Boy, we all talk
Just-
about dog. Yeah,
That's
David,
what it sounds like, man.
I got to tell you something. When it comes to dog man, Bigfoot is Bigfoot. Bigfoot crossing the road, Bigfoot peering from behind a tree. But every time I talk to somebody about dog man, and Dave, you can attest to this with the shows you've had, there's something not flesh and blood about this creature. And I think that the shape shifting subject matter is in play here, right? I think perhaps it was. I never examined that. I just thought that this man was followed with evil, and this evil followed him. That's why he went from town to town. But perhaps this priest himself was a shapeshifter himself, but he can't come to terms with it.
It just seems logical.
Logical to me. And you know what I don't like? 'Cause I got to tell you, the people that send me stories or reports, the thing that really bugs me, and I've tried to get a hold of this guy, I've asked similar questions, but never ever response back, right? And I believe what this guy told me to be true, but I think this guy is a part of it. And maybe, just maybe, he himself is he's an evil entity himself.
Cloaking as a priest, a traveling priest.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, we've heard about these things in the 1900s, the Wild Wild West. How you got the preacher with his briefcase and he goes from town to town, from Western town to Western town preaching. You don't hear about that in the year 2020, where a guy's been at 15 or 20 different parts of the South preaching and always, for whatever reason, vanishes. So, your theory on perhaps he's a shapeshifter himself, I, you know what? I think it's very credible, very valid.
Very interesting as well, Rob. We got about 90 seconds to go here. Do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find your podcast, your YouTube channel, and your brand new book, my man.
Thanks, Dave, for that. Yeah, everybody out there, I see a lot of newer faces out there. My YouTube channel is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Very simple on YouTube. I put out a book at the end of the summer. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. You can find it on Amazon. And the cool thing, you guys, is if you want to buy it, if you're interested, shipping rates will be going up the closer you wait to Christmas, because I dropped the price to $12.99 for Christmas. And yeah, so everybody can afford it if you're into cryptids. And they're true encounter stories that I've gotten from folks over the last couple of years that give me their stories, and I fashion them into a book. It's very entertaining. Currently holding 5-star rating on Amazon, and I'm not bragging. It's just what it is. And you can find me anywhere on social media, Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
I love it. I love it, man. If we don't get a chance to speak with you before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you,
Yeah,
Rob.
hey, David, Merry Christmas. I tried to get you on, your schedules and mine conflicted, but we'll do it. We'll do it whenever we can do it. I appreciate it. I always love you. I love your show. Spaced Out Radio, baby. We own the night.
I love it. I love it. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, as we say goodnight to Bigfoot Michigan Rob, filling in for Robin Haynes on the Cryptid Report. It's Dave 101 night. I'm telling you, my theory has been confirmed. UAPs are man-made. UFOs are not. We're going to get into that when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Then it's Weird News of the Week. Stay tuned. Final half hour is next. Right on, buddy.
All right. Thanks,
Right
Dave,
on.
man. Yeah, thank you, Dave. You know, I got your message. I'm like, and I look like an hour late. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll come on. I got to, today is one of the few days for the rest of December that I was free because the rest of my December is like, boom, like everybody else.
Right? I know. It's ridiculous right now. Absolutely ridiculous. But, hey, we're doing our best, man.
We always do our best. You do your best. You have a fantastic show, as you know. I'm a big supporter and fan, and I love you to death, and everybody in your chat room.
Appreciate you, dude. And I love stopping in on yours to say hello to everybody as well.
Thank you. All right.
Hey, buddy. You
All
take
right.
care.
Peace.
Have a good one.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That is Bigfoot Michigan Rob, everybody. And just setting up the news here. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. All right. There we go. Yeah, we're going to have a good cryptid or report here. That's right, Sovereign. Fart hard, BMR. Every morning, tell my son right before he gets on the bus, right before he gets on the school bus, fart hard today, buddy. Fart hard. Right before he hits the ice in hockey, get out there, kick some ass, and fart hard, buddy. He's like, shut up, Dad. Mr. Cowley, you're way too kind. We love you, man. Way too kind. I am having a good beard night. I am having a good beard night. I put on some nice beard oil earlier, too. What have we got here? About just over 2.5 minutes. Magnus, how are you? Making tacos. Very nice. Thank you, Major Lee. Applesauce, how you doing? Thank you to Major Lee, W. Decker, T-Bone, Kevin, Joanne, and Jennifer for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. Thank you, Maureen. All right, 20 seconds, everybody. Five seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon by joining the Space Travelers Club. All right, it is that time of the night where I yell at everybody to get off my lawn. It is the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
I'm going to start this off by saying, I told you so. I told you so. And I told all of you out there to watch what you call UFOs. Here's the reason why. All right? And it all revolves around the Schumer Amendment. Now, there's two things to be concerned about when it comes to the Schumer Amendment. Number one, there isn't going to be any UFO transparency because there are certain aged Republicans who do not want this to happen. They don't want UFOs coming on out. They don't want little green men to be talked about. They don't want anything to do with this subject or the transparency that goes along with it. So old Davey's noodle in his head started thinking, why? It's an easy enough question. Why? And then last night with Courtney, I had my aha moment. Here it is. Here's the reason why. This Schumer Amendment has nothing to do with UFOs or UFO transparency. It has nothing to do with NHIs or non-human intelligence, aka aliens. Here's what it has to do everything with. And I had this confirmed by a major source today, who's been telling me for months, but I did not get it until today. You see, at places like Area 51, Dugway in Utah, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and many other secret facilities in the United States, like 29 Palms, there are these really special programs going on. So highly classified that we will never see the light of day on what is going on. We've all been duped. into believing that UAP over the last 7 years, that term, unidentified anomalous phenomena, unidentified aerial phenomena, whatever you want to call it, that they gave us. We first heard it in 2015. UAP. It sprung up everywhere. All the newbies who came into the UFO world were like, oh, no, it's not UFO anymore. We have to use the term UAP. And then you saw all the veterans of the UFO world change from UFO to UAP. But you're wrong. 1,000,000% wrong. Get UAP out of your vocabulary if you are a UFO fan. Why? Here's why. Many people like Representative Mike Turner, whose electoral boundaries include Ohio's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, didn't want the term UA or anything to do with the Schumer Amendment because he would be cutting his own throat. How? Look at who his electoral base is. It's all military. It's all contractors and people who work for the like. You see, I was mad at Turner because of this. But then I realized it has nothing to do with UFOs. It has to do with every major top secret program the United States has brewing. So let's go back to 1992. Remember the quote that we've all heard dozens of times from the former head of Lockheed Skunk Works. He said two profound things. Number one, we have the technology to get ET home again. And number two, we are 50 to 80 years ahead of what the public sees right now. What does that mean? It means that everything coming out of places like Area 51 in Nevada that we classify as UFOs are man-made. Now, my big push originally for not using the term UAP was I just think it sounded ridiculous. But in 2023, in February of this year, we started hearing about UAPs combined with drones and weather balloons that were shot down over North America. There were 4 of them. And when they finally came out of that, they were not saying that these were UFOs. These were UAP. And I've said to people over time, people, listen to me. If you take one thing from this show that you can learn, UAPs are man-made somewhere on this planet. Could be the United States, could be China, could be Russia, Iran, or other foreign adversaries, even allies. But it was confirmed by the way the elder Republicans were acting about the Schumer Amendment and trying to toss it out and vanilla it so badly that it would be unrecognizable, that it finally confirmed for me that we are not in the alien game. We are not in the UFO game. We are in the game of protecting national security for the United States of America. We do not want, and I'm saying this as part of the UFO public because I can't speak for my American friends and relatives, but this is all about technology and protecting technology from the American public and what the rest of the world can or may see. You see, the term UAP actually does include aliens and UFOs in this stigma. Why? Because you can hide things as aliens or UFOs like Tic Tacs if they are man-made. The excuses with including UFOs and aliens into the term UAP gives the United States government and intelligence communities a way out to salvage anybody who witnessed something they shouldn't. We should be believing that we have aircraft right now that could go from underwater to up into space in seconds. We should believe at this time that we may have aircraft that could travel at 10 to 20 plus thousand miles per hour and make 90-degree turns. Remember, if 30 years ago we were 50 to 80 years ahead, where are we now? 100 years? 120 years ahead? 150 years ahead? We do not know. This UAP debacle has never been about UFOs. For us in the UFO field, we've made it that way. But on the governmental side of things, and outside of stories that people like Lou Elizondo and David Grush have claimed, the United States right now is not in the UFO business. They are in the UAP business. And what causes a threat? UAPs. Why? Why are they seen around nuclear bases? Why are they seen around nuclear power facilities, dams, lakes, military installations? You know who does that? Spies. Spies from other countries, spies from allies, spies from pirate programs, terrorists. That's who is looking into it. Now, I'm not saying the story at the Malmstrom Air Force Base where the nukes got turned off by the UFO, I'm not saying that didn't happen. Okay? Weird things have happened. We cannot deny that. However, what we are seeing today and the confirmation that I had from a source after the Schumer amendment, we are no longer in the UFO game. UFOs are not worth the United States government's time. UAPs are. Which is why, if and when there is a budget that comes out, it will probably start in the high billions to maybe even $1 trillion of U.S. taxpayer money to look into the UAP phenomena. Who is spying on America? Well, we know every country spies on America, just like America spies on every country, including allies like Canada and Mexico, as we are the biggest island of them all, our continent. They want to protect that. That's where the disclosure for dollars is. And if they have to hide something as alien, they will. Now, we must make sure that we understand that there is UFOs and extraterrestrial presences here on Earth. In his 60 Minutes interview a number of years ago, Robert Bigelow confirmed that. In fact, he stated that he does believe there is an extraterrestrial presence on Earth right now. I believe that. But how do we make the field move forward? We have to start cleaning things up. How do we clean it up? By the definition and difference of what a UAP is compared to a UFO. Now, a lot of the newbies in this field, they'll say, oh, that's such a boomer comment. I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. I don't care what you think. I don't care what anybody thinks. It's what us Gen Xers do. We have tough skin. That's why we made the best hockey fighters. But the point that I'm making is Look at the Schumer amendment. You don't take my word for it. Look at the Schumer amendment. Look at the age of the Republicans that have been shooting this down. Not the young guns like Matt Gaetz or Anna Luna or many others or Boebert or whoever. We are looking at a fine definition of what the United States military is flying out of places. This is why disclosure won't work, because if they disclose what a UAP truly is, the United States Secret Service, their Secret Space Department, NASA, everybody is going to have egg on their face. How many triangles are flying out of Area 51? We do believe there is rumor that there is a fighter jet that has been flying around. And guess what? A number of years ago, Michael Schratt turned up during the last Bush administration. It was Dick Cheney who lost a couple $1 trillion on winged fighters that were supposed to take over from the F-18 Hornet and the Super Hornet and the F-18AE, or E, pardon me, in-flight refueling and electronic warfare. Yeah, it was supposed to do it all. And then all of a sudden, poof, just like a lot of things in the government, it vanished. It vanished. So while we're sitting here looking into the stars, thinking, oh, there's a UAP. There's a UAP. No, that's a satellite, Dave. That's Starlink, Dave. Black triangles could be ours. And if we have reverse engineered alien craft successfully, I want you to think about this. What if those big black triangles never land? We know an aircraft carrier with nuclear power can refuel or has to refuel between every 10 to 20 years. I don't know what the gas mileage is on that. Wouldn't want to know, but I think it's pretty bad. So if we have an aircraft carrier of the United States, which can stay at sea for as long as it has supplies and fuel, and only has to refuel once every 20 years, the last statistic I heard. Imagine the black triangles never having to land on the planet, getting refueled up in the air. And these craft are allegedly huge. We're talking bigger than a 747. The fighters will be smaller, but UAP, they are. They are not UFO. And on that note, you can head to our store and get our brand new UAP UFO t-shirt. Thank you, Annie, for the designs. And here is Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, Space Venture could make erectile dysfunction worse. Oh, man, as if we need any more issues with our manhood. Apparently, if you practice space travel, you're not going to be able to get it up with a shuttle and an Elon Musk rocket. Yeah, published in the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, space flight, that is, could make erectile dysfunction worse for those affected with the condition. Scientists studied rats who couldn't get it up. Findings were interesting, that being exposed to space radiation and weightlessness would have a negative effect on their vascular tissues. A year after the rat experiment, the rodent showed signs of ED, likely caused by a galactic cosmic radiation coming down from space. What do you think of that? Well, woman fatally punched a man over her birthday trip. You know the old saying, happy wife, happy life? Well, apparently wasn't the case for this couple in Pune, India. 36-year-old man died after he was allegedly punched in the nose by his wife because he refused to take her on a trip to Dubai for her birthday. The incident took place November 25th in the couple's posh apartment. One Navi police say Nikhil Khanna had a fight with his wife of 6 years, Renuka, because the man didn't take her to Dubai to celebrate her birthday, nor did he get her any expensive gifts. Sounded like a Darman video online. Renuka was also reportedly upset with Nikhil for not reacting positively of her request to go to Delhi to celebrate the birthdays of some relatives. During their heated exchange, cops say Renuka wound up and drove her husband right in the face, breaking his nose and some teeth, and he lost consciousness and died. Renuka was arrested as the investigation continues. Charges have not been announced. Remember Richard Dawson when he hosted the Family Feud and he'd give all the female contestants a kiss to calm their nerves? Well, apparently he had herpes. Yeah. And apparently the contestants who had to go onto the show and give him a little smooch there, well, after the show, they had to take a herpes test between 1976 and 1985. Then again in 94 and 95. A contestant revealed that before her appearance, a Family Feud production assistant entered the dressing room with a magnifying glass and a cotton swab and said, okay, everybody line up for your herpes test. Test came out because both viewers and doctors were concerned. One viewer complained Richard Dawson spreads more bugs every week than a flu epidemic. Oh my. Imagine that. Dawson died in 2012 of esophageal cancer complications at the age of 79, and it was never admitted that he actually did have herpes. Wow. That just gets weird sometimes, man. I don't know where we find it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X or Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Space Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. There we go. Take that off my face. There we go. Good show. Remember, no UAP. It's all UFO. All UFO. That's what we do here. That's what we need you all to do. No, I don't have a fart hard shirt yet. I'm still debating on that one. Still trying to, be pro. But I did add a UAP UFO shirt tonight. A couple of them. They're really nice. Wallet Moth, how you doing? No, that's not what I want. Show you here what we've recently added. Okay, don't worry about this stuff up here. You can order any shirt that you want off our website. We have recently added the following. Give me 2 seconds here. All right. We've recently added the After Hours shirt. Bigfoot enjoying Sweet Robbie G. Right there. And you guys can see all this. Hold on. We'll make this big. There you go. And then we have added, let's go back here. We have added, there's a Merle shirt. Team Lazar shirt. Remember his glasses? Bigfoot. SOR original. Buttons. Look at these Gidge people. Look at those. Ladies and gentlemen, you would look good with my face on your crotch. Just saying. Okay. Added this shirt. This is the Disclosure for Dollars shirt. Hope you like that one. We have added let's go to page 2 here. Hold on, I'm trying to edit at the same time. We have added let's see here. These really cool stickers here. And don't know if you've seen this one. We've added this one recently. Celebrating Conspiracy. I like that one. And what else did we add? Scroll down. This is my favorite Merle shirt right here. We got a candle here. Yeah, scented SOR. Trust me when I say it does not smell like our good friend Sovereign's butt. No. I think it's what kind of it? It's like a lavender or something. All right, let's see what else we got here that's new. Let's go to page 3. Just put these socks up. Look at those. How cool are those? I will definitely be getting a pair of those. We got this new tumbler mug here with our logo on it. That's something fun. And there they are. The baseball tee, UFO, UAP, know the difference? Bunch of different colors I got too. That nice? You could have one of those. We got the short sleeves too. Isn't that pretty? Got the trucker cap. That's new. And this one, a little bit different. It's a planchette. Yes or no? Yes or no? What's your call? As you can see, lots of new swag. Let me see if I missed any here. Don't forget the original You Got Alien shirt. So that's our store. Dry toast. It would be a good shirt. Let me think about that. What am I doing? Why did that jump? That's in the wrong spot. Where am I? What's there? Copy. Ah. Come on. Where's that going? Way ahead. That's where I'm screwing up. What do you think of the new swag, people? What do you think? Free shoes. I got a pair of Hey Dudes. Too fast. Hey, Reality, how you doing? All right, everyone. I want to say a big thank you to Jennifer, Joanne, Kevin, T-Bone, W. Decker, and Major Lee for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. And on that note, it's time for me to say goodnight. Time for me to go bye-bye. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow night, who our guest will be Ananda Bozeman. Talking some good woo tomorrow night. Ananda Bozeman. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.